Practical Shepherding, the ministry that you lead, is a parachurch, what can be commonly called a parachurch ministry. It's not a local church, but it operates alongside and in cooperation with um, churches, local churches. But that can be an interesting relationship. And obviously the local church is what the Lord has established as His means to take the gospel to the nations. But parachurch ministries have a role beside them and can have, particularly in our context and culture. So talk about the value. Of course, you see the value in parachurch ministries. But why should local church pastors partner with parachurch ministries?
Let me first say, as one who leads a parachurch, that in the New Testament, parachurch ministries don't exist. So God's design is local church. So everything needs to flow out of that. Second thing I want to say is that practical shepherding was a complete outflow of a local church. And I find that the parachurch ministries that I want to partner with the most are the ones that birth out of that, as well as those ministries that want to serve local churches in some way. So that's kind of the template I would want to work from. Parachurch ministries, though, are crucial, I think, in the work of the kingdom of God, in that parachurch ministries can have specific focus on certain areas that local churches can't really put as much focus on. So this partnership idea works that way. Parachurch ministries cannot and should not ever try to replace a local church. And I think we need to first say that. But there are things that God uniquely does to build His kingdom and to serve local churches through parachurch ministries. So when it's done well, I think they benefit the other. And so when a pastor's trying to think about supporting a parachurch ministry, that's what they want to think about. They want to think about, how does this church support them, first off? And then what kind of important work does that parachurch ministry do that local church maybe doesn't have someone equipped to be able to do that? You're a local church pastor, James, and you have tons of ministry partners as a church. What is some of the things you think about when you're trying to figure out which parachurch ministry, if you will, because there's tons? How do you determine which parachurch ministry you want to support as a church?
Sometimes it's driven by responsibility to meet a need. So we feel responsible to make sure that the people in our community have their physical needs met, not full responsibility to meet every need, but to be a part of that. So we have people in our community who are hungry and we want to help meet that need. Well, we don't as a church have a food pantry or provide that. So we want to partner with an organization in our community that helps to meet that need. And when it's a practical need ministry like that, we don't always have theological alignment that we would want to have in a mission endeavor, but we have alignment because there's a need and we want to help meet it. But then other times it's more strategically tied to our mission commitments. So for example, orphan care is a key example of where we have strategic partnerships. We feel responsible, according to James chapter 1, to care for orphans. That includes those in our community and then those around the world. And so we partner with organizations around the world who are helping to provide care for those who are fatherless. And what brings us together is a commitment to do the thing that we feel responsible by the New Testament to do. And then when it gets to that level, we are looking for theological alignment. And back to one of your points earlier, we want to make sure that it's tied to a local church. So we want to partner with organizations, not only that provide orphan care, but that are tied to the ministry of the local church. So they're not just providing something like institutional care, but really are caring completely for the needs of these children, not just physical needs and emotional needs, but spiritual needs.
You bring a really important point up, and that's you do have to consider the doctrinal alignment, that there's enough like-mindedness with an organization. And I found that as a pastor, I remember, that's not everything, but it's a crucial part, at least, that we have to have enough agreement on certain things. And so we want to acknowledge, as you're finding ministry partners, you've got to figure out as a church and as leaders, to what level of agreement, do you have to have when you're working with a homeless shelter or when you're working with a food pantry? Because these are the ministries that are equipped to do what, quite frankly, I pastored an enormous sized church, my whole ministry, that you just don't have the bandwidth. We even tried, and it kind of crushed our volunteers. So I want to acknowledge the importance of parachurch ministries because they're equipped to do the things that you can't. And so you partner with them, and it ends up being a really great situation.
Yeah, it can expand the scope of your ministry beyond what you have the capacity to do just within the membership. provide those avenues.
And when a local church and pastors are involved in those parachurch ministries, it also creates authority, accountability
That's right.
that a parachurch needs involved in their ministry.
That's absolutely right.